Hi everyone, Sumit this side. So I'm just back with another unplanned random video, and in this video I'll be talking about some of the tips, tricks, good practices, libraries that I use in my daily coding life, and that makes me much more productive, or that makes my development faster basically. Right? So yeah, I've just listed down some of the things that I think you should know. Uh, yeah, so that's all. So let's start. So first thing is Knip. So what Knip does? So I'll tell you the problem statement first. So in most of the projects, in large projects, you install some dependencies, some libraries, right? But you forgot to remove those once the once the job is done. For example, you have installed some library for POC purpose. Let's say you want to play with some of the validation libraries, right? So you have installed 3 4 libraries, and then ultimately you choose one, and then you forgot to remove the other 3. Or you have created some function and then you forgot to use the function, but the function is still there in the code base. Ultimately all those unused code will be removed by the bundler. But why to keep all this code? But you can say that, hey, eslint already does that, right? So if I do const a is equal to 12, my linter will tell a is assigned a value but never used. But I'll tell you the problem with this. So if you just export a, then linter no way can tell you okay, this value is not used, right? Even if you don't use this. So here comes Knip. What Knip does, Knip goes through your entire code base and then figures out what are the things that are not used through the mapping and everything, right? So now when you go to your terminal and run pnpm Knip, I'm using pnpm by the way, you should also, and then this will figure out all those issues. So see, in my project, like I've been working on this project for last 2 3 months, so I have installed a lot of libraries, lot of components, lot of files and everything. So what it does, it will check unused files are 15. It says what are the unused dependencies as well. It will say unused dev dependencies, unresolved imports, unused imports, and all those things. Duplicate exports as well. So I've already removed like around 39 files from my project, not removed but modified. So you can also take benefit of this. Okay, so second thing is, whenever you are importing a type from any type files, right, always use a type annotation. So what do I mean by that? Let's say I'm creating a type here. Let's say type x, which is an object and that has a 12, right? And then I'm exporting the type, correct? I'll come back to this later. Let's say dummy1.ts, and here I'm importing the x. Yeah. So what do I mean by always use type notation is, whenever importing x, just use type x, right? What it does, it will tell the users or the developers explicitly that it is actually a type, and it will also help you in LLM. There's no harm if you don't use type, but you need to use type. Now if you notice that I already have a linter error, right? Okay, x is a type and must be imported using the type only import. So this fix the issue. Now there is a separate issue which is called x is depend but never used, but that's not the point of this video. Okay, so first thing is you need to import using type annotation, and also you need to export using type annotation. So here you can just say type x, that will fix the issue. Now how can you set this linter? So just go to tsconfig, not linter but a TypeScript thing. Just make sure that you are using this key true, which is verbatim module syntax for 4.5 plus. For 4.5 minus, go to Google and search for it. There is something I forgot. Okay, so that is second thing. Third, what is third? Yeah, so just go to Package.json. Here if you notice, I have this one script which is called add UI. So what I do, I mean most of my projects are using ShadcN UI, and because I'm using pnpm, so there is this, I mostly forgot about what is the exact command to install a particular package, right? So what have I done? I have created a custom script, not the custom script, but basically the prefix of the script that I use or that should be used to install a package or component. So I've just added that prefix, and now next time I need to install something, I just do pnpm add UI and then button. That's it. So next time if I need to install something, I just write pnpm add UI button. That's it. I have already installed button, so I don't need to do this. But as you can see, right, you can just use alert, you can just install anything. Okay, second thing is I have this script which is called check types. So what it does, normally what happens, like your code editor only shows the types issue which are for the files which are already opened in your code editor, right? But what if I want to run this on the entire project? So what I can do, I can just like check types, pnpm check types, that's it, and this will run on the entire project and tell me what are the issues I am having, right? So for example, identifier expected env.server blah blah. Yeah. And okay, so our next thing is tsx. So right, most of the times, not most of the times, but a few times you need to write some node.js script on your server side to check some of the functionalities. For example, if you want to test some API, or if you want to test some SDK that runs only on server, for example, Vercel AI SDK, OpenAI SDK, etc. So for that, you need to write a simple TS file in Node.js, right? Now, like there are some problems, not problems, but there are some overhead that you need to take care of when you are writing TS in Node. For example, you need node_mon को आप TypeScript में convert करो, like do TypeScript in node_mon and then change module from import to require, blah blah. So there's this solution called tsx that actually solves this issue pretty well. So you can just use this, and I think this is the easiest way to run TypeScript in Node.js. There's another thing called GT. If you might want to try this out, but I've seen like some of the very popular projects are using GT as well. I'm not pretty sure that this is the right alternate, but yeah, you can just search it on Google. But what you can do using tsx. So here I have a simple script called node.ai/index.tsx, right? Index.ts. So I can just write type pnpm tsx and then node.ai/index.ts or index, and this will just run the simple file. That's it. Hey, okay, I got error by the way. Yeah, it's a separate issue. I don't have money to pay for the. Okay, so what next? Yeah, env variables. So normally I'll not say the env variables. So normally when you are using with nextjs project, you are just putting all your variables in .env file, right? But there's a problem with that. You don't have type intelligence. So process.env I have, but you don't have, which is database URL, node.env, OpenAI API key, and all. So how can you get this? How can you actually get intelligence? So for that, you can just create a simple file called global.d.ts and then target the global environment and then declare your env variables type using Zod or any other schema validator. So here what I have done, env variables z.object, then I put database.url, OpenAI API key, and then I'm just parsing this, and then there's this issue. You don't need to think about it. Yeah, and then you can just type it. I know, just go to dummy.tsx, const db url is equal to come on, process.env.db url, and this db url is now typed, which is string. Right. If I go to global.d.ts and make it number, and then I'll go to dummy, and here you can see db url is number. Yeah, so this is also typed. This is one solution, but if you want to make your code base like over engineered, or not over engineered, but if you need to take care of your env variables a lot, like you don't want to mess like server variables, client variables, CR variables, runtime variables, then I think a better solution, or I think one and only solution, is using T3NB. If you want, I can just make a video on this. This is great. I personally use this, and this is one of the best solution uh, that I've ever used. Okay. Yeah. One tip that I want to share with you, which is, because it's an era of LLM, you always put your code in LLM, right? Always make sure that you are putting the path name of a component or of a function on the top of the file so that your LLM can understand better. I personally use this trick, and LLM can give you a particular file path as well while creating this file, and you can just copy that and paste it in your VSCode. Right, so for example, let's say this is config1.ts, right? And now I can just copy this, go to components and comment in, and this config1.ts will be created. That's it. And by the way, this is one of the craziest feature of VS Code to create nested files, folders and all. Yeah. Okay, what next? Yes, one important point, which is, because I'm using ShadcN in my project, so in most of the times now there are multiple import suggestion. What do I mean by that? For example, when I'm using, let's say, const, oh come on, RFC, I'll just create a simple component, and then let's say I need to use the alert here, right? So I can do alert, and my editor will try to automatically import this. Now if you notice, I have two imports, or two import source: alert dialog from Radix UI and alert dialog from the components which is created by the ShadcN, right? So I can accidentally do this, and then I'll think about, yeah, why my styles are not working. So one issue then I notice, oh, this import is from Radix UI, so ideally it should be imported from the components. So how can you fix this? If you notice, I have a custom linter rule which says Radix UI React alert dialog import is restricted from being used by a pattern. Please import from components/UI. So if I do components, or why do I need to? If I do components UI alert dialog, then this will solve the issue. But how can you create your custom linter? So you just go to eslint. I'm using MJS file here, and here you can add your own rule, and the rule name that you need to use, which is no restricted import. What it does, it will tell the editor to throw an error if the pattern is Radix UI, if the import pattern is Radix UI/star. So if anything is imported from Radix UI, it will throw an error. And obviously, like you can add some of the exception here, which can be added. So just go to Google and search for no restricted imports. There are a lot of options that you can try out. So I think that is a very good trick, right? For example, when you are using your own custom component, let's say I was using this thing in React Native, which is Tamagui, and you can import text from Tamagui as well. You can import text from React Native as well. But I always wanted to use the text from React Native, so I can add this rule. Yeah, so I think these are some of the tips, or rather good practices, or something. I don't know what should I call this, but I think this will help you. Bye. See you in the next video, which will also be unplanned, because see, I can't sit down, write a simple component and then say कि यार ये animation कैसे बनाते हैं. I think that time is gone. You are smart, and it's time for, there are a lot of resources everywhere basically, so you know how to code. My idea is to now tell you the concept, the things that you might not know. Yeah, so that's it.